Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be reviewing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 25-23 win versus the New York Giants. First thing I want to say is what a freaking game. Shout out to the New York Giants. They put up one heck of a fight, and this literally came down to the last play. It was absolute insanity. But let's get started talking about some of the good from this game, and then we will mention the bad here later on. So first player worth addressing is Ross Cockrell, special teamer slash backup cornerback for the Buccaneers. I thought that he just had a very awesome special teams play where he prevented the ball from going into the end zone, a punt by Bradley Pinion, and it resulted at the Giants getting pinned back at their own 3-yard line. That was just a great heads-up play by Ross Cockrell, so shout out to him for that. I then want to take a look at the punter himself, Bradley Pinion. He only punted 3 times today, but I thought that overall he did a pretty decent job. I think he only had maybe 1 bad punt out of the 3, which it wasn't even that bad of a punt anyway. So Bradley Pinion continues to do some pretty decent things. Now let's start getting into some of the other players who had a lot to do in this game overall. Carlton Davis, 3 tackles, 2 pass deflections, and 1 interception. He got the first interception on Giants quarterback Daniel Jones on the night, and he just continues to have an overall great season. I have been so happy and proud of what Carlton Davis has been able to do this season. He is still my hashtag #1 cornerback, and he is proving more every single week that he is one of the better young and up-and-coming cornerbacks in this league right now. So I'm just more and more happy with him as time goes on. I believe that was his 4th interception on the season, and I'm just very proud of him. So good job, Carlton Davis. Keep up the great work. Ryan Succop, 4 for 4 on field goals today. A lot of people have been saying the Bucs now have a kicker, and I'm tending to agree with them more and more every single week. Ryan Succop just continues to do really good things for this special teams unit, and I'm all here for it, so keep on going, Ryan Succop. Next, Jack Barrett, 3 tackles, 2 pass deflections, and 1 quarterback hit. And Jack Barrett, in my opinion, was insanely instrumental in both of Daniel Jones' interceptions that happened today. One by Carlton Davis, one by Sean Murphy-Bunting that I will address later, because in both of those plays, Jack Barrett was holding on to Daniel Jones, bringing him down. Daniel Jones, in both of those scenarios, decided, well, I guess I'm just going to try and throw it anyway, and in both of those scenarios, it resulted in an interception. So Jack Barrett, in my opinion, was a main catalyst for both those interceptions happening, so good job for Jack Barrett. I think he's starting to get back on track for what we saw last year in terms of his pass rushing ability and things like that. He's having a pretty decent season so far, in my opinion. Next, I want to take a look at Will Gholston, 3 tackles, 1 pass deflection. Will Gholston continues to make plays. He's not in the game a ton. I believe he's in around 50% of the defensive snaps so far for this season, but when he is in, he is a very solid force in the run defense. Now, he's shown a little bit of pass rush so far this year, but his main calling card has been his run defense. He is still one of the reasons as to why the Buccaneers have one of the top run defenses in the entire NFL right now, if not the top run defense. While Wayne Gallman was able to do some good things for the Giants running game at certain points, they still held up overall, holding Gallman to 3.7 yards a carry, and I believe Alfred Morris to maybe 3.2 yards a carry as well. So overall, good job by the run defense. Will Gholston is still playing some really good football when he gets in there. Jadon Mickens is the next guy I want to point out. 5 receptions, 36 yards, led the team with 8 targets in today's game. Had a couple of very crucial catches on 3rd and even in 4th down situations. So good job, Jadon Mickens. I know a lot of people have been talking about Jadon Mickens being the odd guy out whenever Antonio Brown comes in due to, Antonio Brown being a very good kick and punt returner, but Jadon Mickens proved tonight that he is still a very solid kick returner in his own right, and a lot of people have been saying, Jadon Mickens is going to get cut, things like that. Now, I am biased, but I was impressed with Jadon Mickens coming out of this game. Not just as a returner, I thought he did some good things in that part of his game, but I thought that he showed up when he needed to as a receiver. He had a couple of stumbles early on in the game, but he made up for it in a huge way when he needed to, converting some very big 3rd and 4th down plays and situations. So Good job, Jadon Mickens. I don't know what's going to happen when Antonio Brown joins this team upcoming here next week. I would assume probably Cyril Grayson is probably going to get reverted back down to the practice squad, and then maybe something happens with Justin Watson or Jadon Mickens. But you know what? I had a lot of fun watching Jadon Mickens play some great football, and I want him to keep on being on this team. So good job to him. Sean Murphy-Bunting, 1 interception, 6 tackles, and 1 pass deflection. He did struggle at points in this game, but overall, I thought he played, pretty decently in terms of the secondary. I thought that he was all right in coverage. He did come away with that interception again, which is always a good thing. I will always put you on the good list if you help get a turnover, so good job to Sean Murphy-Bunting for that. And yeah, he just continues to have a pretty decent season overall. Mike Edwards, while he didn't log that many stats, I think he might have had 1 pass deflection. He still continues to be a pretty decent guy out there when making plays, and I'm still going to push for him to start over a guy like Jordan Whitehead, or at least just have him out there more on the field in certain situations, because Mike Edwards is proving this year that he deserves more playing time, so give the man more playing time. That's all I'm saying. Next, Jason PierrePaul, the man who said he was going to destroy the New York Giants coming into this game. Not necessarily, but he still put up a very solid game of 7 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 quarterback hit. An overall very solid game from Jason PierrePaul, JPP. I think this is now his 6.5 sack on the season, so he's probably going to finish this year with double-digit sacks at least. So overall, good job, Jason PierrePaul. Wasn't the game I'm sure he wanted to have. I'm sure he wanted to have like 3 sacks at least in this game, but overall, pretty solid numbers for the Buccaneers linebacker. And also, he chased down wide receiver Darius Slayton on a reception that he had at one point in the middle of the game. So good job for him for that, because that is insanely impressive athleticism from the linebacker here for the Bucs. Next, Tom Brady, 28 of 40 passing, 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. Another very solid game for Tom Brady. And I do want to say this because this is important. The Buccaneers offense did have 1 turnover in this game, and the Giants scored 7 points off of that. I think that we are starting to see that whenever this offense isn't turning over the ball a ton, how much more games are winnable. Tom Brady is being very efficient with the football, and he's not turning it over, and we are seeing this team really start to string together some wins just because of the fact they aren't giving the ball to the other team. And I think that is absolutely huge and critical for this team's success moving forward. It makes sure that you aren't digging yourselves into deeper holes and putting yourselves out of games. So Tom Brady so far this year has been playing very, very good. 20 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions right now on the year. Still playing at an MVP pace. So good job, Tom Brady. Next is Ndamukong Suh, 2 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 5, count them, 5 quarterback hits in this game on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was getting blitzed a ton, by the way. I think he was blitzed on at least 70% of the passing plays that the Giants had in this game, so that's absolutely wild. And while they were able to take advantage at some points by taking the top off the defense, they were still hitting Daniel Jones a ton in this game, and it did rattle him in certain points. So good job to the pass rush to getting a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones. Suh being one of the biggest guys to do it. 5 quarterback hits is absolutely insane. Devin White is next. 1 sack, 7 tackles, 2 quarterback hits, and 1 tackle for loss. Devin White is still continuing to have a Defensive Player of the Year type-esque season, and I'm all here for it. Him and Lavonte David, who finished this game with 5 tackles and 2 pass deflections, are both on the good list here. They both still continue to play like the best linebacking duo in the NFL. I really don't care what anybody says. These guys are the best linebacking duo in the NFL. You cannot tell me otherwise. Mike Evans, 5 catches, 55 yards, 1 touchdown. Very solid game for him. Rob Gronkowski, 4 catches, 41 yards, and 1 touchdown. Another solid game for Gronkowski. This is his 4th string together game where he has impressed me in a row. So good job to Gronk for that. He is looking more and more like his old self. And the last guy I want to mention is going to be Antoine Winfield Jr., who finished this game with 7 tackles, but saved the game on the last play of the game. The Giants had scored a touchdown from Daniel Jones to Golden Tate. They went for the 2-point conversion. It was a throw out to Dion Lewis. Looked like it was going to work 100%, but Antoine Winfield Jr. came streaking across the field, got the pass deflection, and that ended the game. That was the dagger for the New York Giants. So amazing job, amazing heads-up play by Antoine Winfield Jr. there. I mean, I really do think in terms of recency bias, since it just happened, he could be a player of the game for me. I mean, really overall, a lot of guys impressed in this game, but Winfield Jr. there really did save the game for the Buccaneers there in the final moments. So phenomenal job by the young rookie. He continues to have a Defensive Rookie of the Year-esque campaign, and that could be one of the plays they show in his highlight reel when he wins the award. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say it's confirmed, because obviously you don't want to get cocky in situations like that, but I was really impressed with Antoine Winfield Jr. there to close out the game. And I think it really does show the difference that this team has made from last year and in a couple years past, where they're not out here losing games anymore. They are securing wins, and they are not digging holes for themselves. They are out here trying to, scrap and get every single win that they can. We have seen some cases where they have shot themselves in the foot in the Saints and Bears game, but in this game, they hung on, and that's how you know it's a good team, because good teams find ways to win games, and the Buccaneers did this with a great play by Winfield Jr. Now we're going to get to the bad, and we're going to keep it brief, but there were some things I was concerned about. Ronald Jones did have a fumble, and it seemed like he got benched yet again in favor of Leonard Fournette after that fumble. And I don't 100% agree with a move like that. He did get some touches towards the second half of this game, Ronald Jones did, coming back in. But overall, I don't think they should give up on Ronald Jones just yet. I still think he can do some pretty good things. The only problems I've seen with Ronald Jones has been when he's tried to catch the ball and be a receiving back. He still needs to work on that part of that game, and that fumble was another case in point, an example of that. So Ronald Jones does need to clean up some of his receiving game in regards to that. There were a couple of drops as well. Leonard Fournette had a drop. I believe Jadon Mickens had a drop, as well as a couple of other guys as well had a couple of drops, and it did suck to see. It was unfortunate. It was a windy game out there. It was a cold game out there as well, so I'm willing to chalk it up to a cold game, but you do have to make those plays, and I think those guys will. I think Jadon Mickens will bounce back from a single drop. I think Leonard Fournette will do the same, and overall, I think that will improve. Jamel Dean struggled a lot in this game in terms of coverage. He did get beat a couple of times by guys like Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, among others, and it was not fun to watch. It really wasn't. Jamel Dean just had a rough game, point blank. He's had a lot of good games so far this year. He just had a rough one, and I'm going to be looking for him to bounce back versus the Saints. And then finally, guys, run blocking was not good. It continued to not be the overall best time for the Buccaneers run game. They finished with an average of 3.4 yards a carry. You just can't have that, so the run blocking does need to improve. I did tell you guys, though, that I really do respect this Giants defensive line. Guys like Leonard Williams, Dalvin Thompson, Dexter Lawrence, B.J. Hill is there as well. I mean, this is a very stacked Giants defensive line. So it doesn't super surprise me that the run game couldn't get going that much, but it is a little disappointing. And then finally, the pass defense as a whole did struggle a little bit when they were left on some islands, when the Buccaneers were blitzing. Guys were getting beat one-on-one in terms of man coverage and things like that. That needs to improve overall. But I do think that overall this was a very solid game from the Buccaneers. It did have a lot of back and forth. The first half could have been better in terms of offensive efficiency and things like that. But in the end, the Buccaneers pulled it out in a very big way. They scored 6 points in the first half, but then finished with 19 points in the second half to the Giants, 14 points in the first half, and then 9 points in the second half. So overall, they came alive in that second half, rebounded, and did what they needed to do to win the game in a very close, very exciting game. But guys, that's really going to be it for this review. Let me know your thoughts about everything that I said down in the comment section below. What were some of the good takeaways that you had from this game, and what were some of the bad takeaways? Give me your thoughts. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Let's go all celebrate the Buccaneers win, as they are now 6-2 on the year. But I will see you guys in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs. Enjoy the win, guys. I'll see you soon.